Hey everyone, this is Nia with Cozy Homeschool, and today I'm going to be talking to you about classical conversations at home. Now, last year was our first year of classical conversations, and we were actually part of a very large community. And because of COVID, this year it looks a little bit different for our family. We have a 3 and 5-year-old. And so for us, we decided that instead of meeting in large community, we would just meet here in our home, invite a couple friends over for our community day once a week. But for those of you interested in classical conversations, if you don't know what it's about, today I want to just walk you through what I use and how it's really impacted our homeschooling and how much our kids have grown because of it. So here we go. So Classical Conversations, it is an internationally recognized homeschool curriculum. You can find CC communities all over the world. That's one of the big benefits, is that if you're part of a CC community and say you travel, last year we went to Florida for a month, so we were actually able to plug in to a CC community right near where we were. And that was really special, meeting people that lived there, that were part of Classical Conversations. We could meet new friends and see how they do CC. Very beneficial. Also, I've heard of families that have moved a lot internationally, and they were part of CC communities in Germany, and then they would move to a different state, and then they would move within the US, and they could always find a CC community to plug into. So what is Classical Conversations? Here is the book. This is the Foundations Guide. So if you have littles, you can start them at the age of 4. So this is the book that I have, and I would have this book all the way through the age of 12. And so for us, it's basically the bulk of our curriculum. You'll have to excuse me because my son Nigel accidentally spilled my coffee on my desk. So now my CC book has beautiful coffee stains all over it. Fun story. So what subjects does CC cover? Well, it covers math, Latin, science, English, timeline of the world, history, geography, and it also includes things like a science project once a week and a fine arts once a week, which I really love. And for us, we really just do one science project a week, and found a great resource online that I will link below. It's through Lighthouse Christian, and they actually, for like $60, I could buy all the supplies already pre-packaged out to help me with those science experiments. And for those science experiments, they're primarily coming out of this book, 201 Awesome, Magical, Bizarre, and Incredible Experiments. So I bought this on Amazon, and I have this book, and it tells us for 24 weeks what we will be covering. So this is the bulk of our curriculum, and we do this information for about 30 minutes a day. And then the other part, we would have a language arts curriculum and a math curriculum. So we are getting some math. We're getting skip counting and a lot of grammar and memorization, but we're going to add more math with our math curriculum. We use master books, and then we also use the Good and the Beautiful language arts. But you can choose whatever language arts and whatever math you would like. So that's how we supplement with a little bit more. Now, the other amazing resource about CC is that you can download an app on your phone, and that's what I use for our memory work. So when it's time for our 30 minutes of listening to our CC information, I rarely use this book, but I really just pull it up on our app. I love that I can go anywhere with it. So we are in the car a lot. We're going to and from, and so I put on our memory work, and that's how we get it in. So if you're in the car a lot, put on your memory work. The kids are trapped. They got to listen to it. So we get it that way. Also, hello, at home, also we bring out the Play-Doh. So we put on our memory work, and I'm allowing the kids to do Play-Doh. They're doing kinetic sand, listening to their memory work. That was one thing that I had to learn, that the kids didn't necessarily need to be sitting there and looking at me to focus on getting that information. They actually could be getting the information while they're keeping their busy hands busy doing something else, like coloring. So we're listening to our app. So we're listening to our math, then the Latin. And the rule of thumb is to listen to each category 7 times. So sometimes I'll just roll through the different subjects and I'll repeat that 7 times. They have wonderful songs that go along with history, so it's a great way to remember your history fact. Last week we were learning about the Boston Tea Party, so we actually had the kids like throwing tea bags, or we listened to our memory work while we did tea time. And that was a beautiful thing. We had tea, we called it our CCT, and we had tea while we listened to our memory work. And then also I have some great printables. So I found on Etsy some wonderful printables for CC Cycle 3, and I used those printables while we were listening to our memory work. My daughter loves to color, so this was a great way to listen to the information and color to help remember it. Now, in classical conversations, there are 3 cycles: Cycle 1, Cycle 2, and Cycle 3, and it's a way to break up the chunks of the world. I'm on Cycle 3, which is U.S. history. So this year we are learning states and capitals, presidents. That's the part of history that we're focusing on, U.S. history. The math would be the same, learning vocabulary in Latin, which is really helpful. At first I was like, Latin, I don't know Latin, but it's actually very helpful when you're learning the language, also in certain professions, right? If you want to be a lawyer or doctor, and also learning other languages, it's very helpful to know Latin, and I'm learning it alongside of them. Okay, so Cycle 1 is ancient kingdoms. So that would be the information. You would do this the entire year, 24 weeks for an entire year. Last year, like I said, we were doing Cycle 2. And Cycle 2 is medieval to modern time. This was a lot of fun. We actually went out to those medieval times dinners when we were in Florida. That was cool. So this year, U.S. history. Okay, so we do the app. I have my book for referencing. When we meet for community, which I will show you what my house looks like when we prep, we just invite a couple friends over and we do that together, introduce the new material for the week that we're learning. We do presentations, which for our kids, the younger kids, it's basically like a show and tell, but they learn how to speak in front of other people. And then the people listening, the audience, learns how to ask good questions, be good listeners, and give a compliment. So I love that, and the kids love it too. Unless you have a really shy child, then sometimes that can be hard, but parents can help them and stand there with them, so it's no big deal. But then they get comfortable speaking in front of people. So we would also do a science on the community day, and we would do a fine arts. We're starting with drawing, but we also have tin whistle. We learn about famous composers. This classical conversations, it's a classical model, classical style of education, and I wasn't familiar with what that meant, but now I'm a big believer in it. I see how much they're learning, how much they're growing. I was only comfortable and familiar with traditional way of schooling, and so I'm an eclectic homeschooler, so I use classical, I use Charlotte Mason, I use traditional, I use, I don't know, other stuff. I haven't learned all the terms, but I like to mix and match. I have just seen that CC has produced such wonderful fruit, and what our daughter and our son were able to learn just through listening and absorbing that great information and going very deep. And I thought, man, she was 4 turning 5, and we were learning about World War I, age-appropriate information, but we were learning about Charlemagne, and we were learning about Joan of Arc, and she loves biographies, and we were just eating all that up. It was great. So this is what we do 30 minutes a day. We're doing our information, listening on an app, using once a week, doing a science experiment and an art. We also have timeline cards. So you can see behind me, these cards here on my Hobby Lobby, beautiful beaded rope thing. I have the timeline cards. So each week we're learning 7 parts of a timeline, and it's from creation until present day. So if you're curious what that looks like, go on YouTube and look up Classical Conversations Timeline Song. It's a 14-minute long song, and you learn sign language that goes along with it. And it's a way for your child to learn the history of the world. Wow, it was so helpful for me. I could not have told you where things in ancient times, where they fell along the timeline. That was very jumbled in my mind. And this song has really helped me to sort out where things happen in history and when. So timeline song, there's a timeline song. We got our memory work. We do a science experiment and art once a week. The printables, I bought printables through Etsy. They provide great coloring sheets. I'm going to show you an example. So I found these on Etsy. So when we do things like our science and our history, we color them in. So they're beautiful. We learned about 3 types of muscles: cardiac, skeletal, and smooth. So they can color that in. What else? We learned about the Boston Tea Party. So here was our coloring sheet for the Boston Tea Party. And what was the last one? The last one is geography. So we were learning like 5 states and capitals. So on here, it's really cute. And I actually found that using M&Ms, colored M&Ms, is a great way to help them learn their maps. So this is the coloring sheet for that. So Etsy Printables, that's a great resource that I found. Classical Conversations has a wonderful website, and they actually came out this year with something called the Sandbox. So if you're a member of that, CC Connected, then you can go on the Sandbox and you can print out. They've basically done all the work for you with all of your lesson planning and all these crafts, and you can really get deeper and deeper with the information. So if you have older kids, I highly suggest using that. Our kids are still young, so they really are just listening and coloring, and we're doing interacting, the history stuff, and a lot of hands-on. I'm not having them do a ton of worksheet information yet. They will when they get older. The last part is geography. So we use dry erase maps. So I have a smaller one, and I have this one here. Okay, so I have one that's labeled, one that isn't. So the whole idea for that is show me, tell me. So they need to be able to show me and tell me. So show me where Augusta, Maine is. And I would say, show me where Concord, New Hampshire is. And then by the end of the week, they should be able to tell me and show me. So that's what we do for geography. Last year, we were doing countries all over the world. Some, I was embarrassed when we got to the Turkmenistan in that area. I didn't even really know some of those countries. So embarrassing, but I'm learning too. Like I said, I'm reclaiming some of my education that I did not know, or I've probably just forgotten over the years. So this is the maps, the maps that we use. We use United States puzzles. We use games. I have a US bingo game. So sometimes when we're doing that, we like to have fun. Now, how else do we learn the information? Well, the only other thing that I do throughout the week, so like I said, 30 minutes a day, we're working on CC. That's it. And if we're in the car, sometimes we're listening a little bit more. To go a little deeper, we would use books. So that's what I'm doing right now. So if I want to go a little bit deeper about our science, which is about the human body this year, I found these great resources from Usborne Books. And these have the flaps they can lift up. This is really great, the Big Book of the Body. So we were talking about muscles, so I opened up to the page that was talking about muscles, and it's huge. So it's really cool. So we were talking about our bones, our muscles. So I use these books or books from the library. So you can even just take out free books from the library. If you're talking about muscles, find a book on the muscles. If you're talking about the skeletal system, find books on that. The other thing is history. So each week I would take a list of picture books, and I found Half a Hundred Acre Woods had a list for picture books. CC Connected this year has a list for picture books, and I would either go to my local library, or I love supporting this private Christian library that we have in Buffalo, New York called the Love Story Library, and I email her and I say, hey, these are the books I'm looking for. For example, we're learning about the Boston Tea Party. I actually bought this one on Amazon because I felt like it was a good one to add to our library. Last week was about pilgrims. I did purchase some books to have in my own personal library about the Mayflower, about pilgrims, because they were just great. Squanto, there was one by Eric Metaxas, which I love, and that was about pilgrims. So really good stuff. So we read a lot of picture books just to go deeper into our history for that week. The other thing is I use a lot of books about the United States. So when we're learning about geography, I got these books out, and if we're learning about Dover, Delaware, I bring up this page and we talk about the flag, the state birds. So we dig a little bit deeper about each state and find out some fun facts. So I use picture books, we use songs. If we're doing history about the Boston Tea Party, like I said, we have a tea party, we got out the tea, or we're just doing the song while we're throwing the tea, pretending like we're in the boat. So that is what we do CC at home. And then once a week, we just invite a couple friends over to our house and we just do the science experiment together. We do the art together. We were doing mirror images and art. That's all listed in the CC book, or you can find it on YouTube. So I will type in CC Cycle 3 Week 2 Art, and people give examples on what to do. So it's very helpful. This has been wonderful. So this is the bulk of our curriculum, folks, and it is deep in content, rich in content. Our kids have really just blow me away at what they're able to remember, and this is helping really set them up for success. I enjoy teaching it and just listening and learning myself. I am going to include a little video clips of me preparing for a CC community day, a CC day at our home, and what that looks like. I use a chalkboard. I put the new grammar on there, but we're really hoping and praying that we can return to our large community. Next year, we had about 100 kids in our large community, and that was great. We would get together and we would learn 9 to noon, and then from 12 to 1, we would have lunch together as a community. The kids would play, and then if you have older kids, there's a 1 to 3 p.m. segment called Essentials, and that's primarily focused on writing and grammar. And so that is for, I believe, when you reach the age of 9. So like 9 to 12-year-olds, they would get that additional afternoon time. And then there's middle school and high school programs called Challenge. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out or go into Classical Conversations, their website, and you can find a community and you can reach out to a director. No matter where you are, what state, what country, you can see if there's a CC community around you. So I hope that you found this valuable and helpful if you're looking to do Classical Conversations at home and utilize the great curriculum. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of what it looks like, what we go over. It basically covers everything I need except math. So I supplement more with math and more with language arts. Everything else, history, science, we actually do English and grammar. We do Latin in Classical Conversations. There's science also, and there is skip counting in math. So there's memorization in math. So I'll give you a rundown, a quick overview of these are the things we're going to be doing. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me about Classical Conversations. They also have a great website, and there's a ton of YouTube videos, a lot better than mine. So feel free to check those out as well. Here we go. This is week 3, and we will be going over skip counting by 5s, skip counting by 6s, and there's a great song that goes along. Our Latin vocabulary words, science today, what are 3 kinds of muscle? So we'll be talking about that, and I have coloring pages to do. What is a past participle? We have 7 parts of our timeline. We learn the timeline of the world. There's a 14-minute long song that CC does. That's just awesome. We do sign language. History, we do 1 history sentence a week. So today is tell me about the Boston Tea Party, and by the end of the week, our kids will have it memorized. And then this year is U.S. history. There's 3 cycles in Classical Conversations. This year's U.S. history. So we are learning states and capitals. And then we'll be doing a fine arts about upside down image. And then we'll be doing a science experiment today is about fingerprints. So when we start, I actually start with the devotional. We read, we pray together. We do the Pledge of Allegiance and the Pledge to the Bible as we get started. And then we'll be going over new grammar. We move around, we sing songs. I have hand motions. I have little games that we do. Then we might move into, I'm going to give you an idea of what it looks like. I have a couple printouts. So we go 3 types of muscle. We talk about the Boston Tea Party, so we'll talk about this sentence. Then our geography, we like to use M&Ms. Then I have a thing for upside down images. We'll be working on this where they have to do a dry erase with the upside down images. And then their final project, because we're talking about the Boston Tea Party, I actually have a teapot and a teacup that they can trace, but we're going to do it upside down. So it actually works the right part of your brain in art, which is different. Usually it's the left side. So that's an idea of stuff that we'll be covering. And we have our science experiment. So with our science, I have all the materials laid out. We will be doing fingerprints. So we will just be using a pencil, putting in our fingerprint, using a piece of tape, and then they'll be putting it down, and we'll be using a magnifying glass to look how all 10 fingerprints in your body here, they're all the same, and it's amazing. So that's our science experiment for today. They're fairly easy to set up, not a lot of work to set up, which is great. This is my card about 3 types of muscle that we're talking about. Then we'll move to an art. And then this is at the end, we always end with review. So I actually have a review spinner, and I have a little prize box for my couple friends that are coming over, and they really like this at the end. So we go over review. So because we're on week 3, I will also ask them, look at this nice coffee. We'll also review week 2 and week 1 that we've already done. The other thing that CC is known for are their dialect and their presentation. So that was one of the things that I really loved about Classical Conversations last year, is that Lena had to get up and you have to give a presentation that's about 2 minutes. You don't have to do 2 minutes, that's kind of the cutoff. But that's not a problem for her. But you know, for some people, I know for my son, he's a little bit more shy, a little bit more reserved. But they have to work on standing up. It's really like show and tell for their age. As they get older, they will be doing more guided presentations about topics. But for the little ones, they really just bring in something that they love and want to talk about. And so it's not hard to talk about. It's fun, and all the kids are really interested. But they learn how to be a presenter and how you have to speak and look at people when you're talking to them and project your voice. And then at the end, you say, does anyone have any questions? And then the audience has to work on being great listeners. And then at the end, asking good questions or giving a compliment or a praise, you know, hey, that was a really great job in your presentation. I like how you talked about this. So we're learning that skill, and it's their favorite part. They love doing that. And while we're doing that, we just eat a little snack while we're doing presentation. So our day is coming in, we do a devotional, pledge allegiance, pledge to the flag. Then we go over, we pray together as a group. Then we go over new grammar. So that would be, let me show you. This is all of our new grammar. We go over math, English, history, Latin, science, geography. So this would be all the new information that what we're introducing today. And then the rest of the week, they will go home, and with their family at home, they will be continuing to work on this information. So it just is a springboard to allow them to go home and continue to learn it through the week. It's a lot of memorization, but also reading good books. And there's other, you know, coloring sheets and things you can do for the little ones at their age. And so after the new grammar, we usually will do a science, and then our presentation, and then we'll do art, and then we'll do a review game, and then that's it. And here, usually at the end, you will pack your lunch and bring your lunch, and you eat lunch as a community. And I miss my big community. We would have like 100 kids. So it was so fun, but it looks different this year, and I had to be okay with that, and hoping next year we can get back to our big community. But usually we eat lunch together as a community, and here at the house, we just eat together with the couple people that are here with our kids and our family, and it's been nice. So it's a way to get together with other kids to go over the material, and then the rest of the week we will continue to practice it. We spend about 30 minutes a day doing our Classical Conversations memory work, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper in a subject. So if it's geography, we'll do a little bit more work on our maps. If it's history, we'll read a lot of great picture books. I want to show you what I found this past week, and so I would just read picture books with them and go deeper in the subject. And it's been a great fit for us, and I have loved seeing how our kids have grown so much just through memorization and reading good books. And I think content that I thought would be too hard for them, and I was just blown away with what they've been able to learn and retain, and I'm enjoying learning it too. We're really learning it as a family. Now I can tell you when World War I started and ended, and I couldn't do that before, so a little embarrassing. But I want to flip it around and show you some good picture books and give you an example of that. So this past week we learned about the Pilgrims and the Mayflower Compact. So these are the books. I actually found them on Amazon because I wanted to add them permanently to our homeschool library. So they're all on Amazon. It was great. This book is wonderful about the Mayflower. The pictures are just absolutely beautiful. So much great content. Sarah Morton's Day. I know that this is kind of a famous one for pilgrims. And then this is another good one. It's a little bit more simple, but the pictures are great. And then this is awesome. I love it. Squanto and the Miracle of Thanksgiving by Eric McTaxis, who I listen to a lot of his stuff. He's great. This is a beautiful book. And let me tell you, at the end, I kind of teared up. It's such a beautiful story. So if you're looking for a Thanksgiving resource, this is excellent. I also sign out books from my library. So this week we're learning about the Boston Tea Party. So I did pick up some, and I picked up some more about pilgrims because they were really fascinated about that. So we will be learning about the Boston Tea Party, but this is what we do the rest of the week. We'll do about 30 minutes a day, and then they'll have all the material, all of this material memorized. It's awesome. So thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions about Classical Conversations, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Reach out. I love talking about it. Oh, there's my back in the mirror. Hey. And I'm also seeing that somebody erased some information on my chalkboard before we're about to get started. Okay, not cool. But there we have it. So check out their website. I'll be posting some more on my Instagram too, and Facebook. I post some Classical Conversation stuff that I'm doing. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it valuable. So like I said, this is primarily what I use, and I just supplement with an extra math and an extra language arts. And then I add some fun stuff, some STEM or some etiquette we're adding in, or health and safety. I kind of sprinkle those in as they come. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Feel free to ask a question in the comments below. Click like, boop, and make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll be sure to circle back with an update on all of this soon. Bye.